Research shows that 85% of effective leadership comes down to this one skill. I'm Dr. Dan. I'm a neurostrategist and a coach. I help leaders just like you take your message to the masses. In this video, I want to break down how you can be a more effective leader. Listen, there's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of people are going to tell you one thing or another thing, and it's not that it's not effective. There's just the most effective things that are going to make you a better leader. If you're looking to scale your next level of growth, whether you're in business, you're an entrepreneur, you're an executive, you need to know how to be a better leader. In order to be a better leader, you got to work on the skills that will make you just that. The cool part is that they are skills. The beauty of skills is that they can be learned. So no matter where you're at, where you've been, or where you come from, you can learn what it takes to be a more effective leader. I can remember the times leading up to my first business. I had all the doubts in the world. You know, there's something called Imposter Syndrome where you feel like you don't belong. You feel like a fraud. You feel like you're gonna be exposed because you're unqualified. I've been there, and I'm assuming some of you have been there. In fact, every new level that you go to, you experience this again. And I had it in a big way. In a way, scared of my own shadow as I began, hated the idea that I would have to communicate or speak in front of people. And I remember I trained in Naples, Florida, and I remember driving down this road, knowing that I was gonna be in my own business in a few short weeks, in my own town, in a different state, in the middle of the country. And I had all the doubts in the world. Can I do this? Because at the time, I could do it underneath someone else's mentorship, but I had doubts of me being able to do it. And it boiled down to,
am I an effective leader?
Can I go back and hire a team? Can I move people? Can I communicate? Can I deliver the thing that I say I'm delivering? Those were the doubts that I had. And really it boiled down to, was I skilled as a leader? And was I prepared so that people would follow me? Well, it turns out this can be learned. And I learned the hard way. But I want to fast track this for some of you. I want to help you create the shortcut to more influence and more impact by being a better leader. I'll also make this caveat. Most companies, most corporations, most schools do not teach these skills required to be an effective leader. Here's the irony. The skills required to be a more effective leader are not hard skills. They're soft skills. The top 5 hard skills that most companies teach and require are things like computer skills, analytical skills, technical skills, software skills, marketing skills. These are skills required. They're good things, but they're not the needle movers. They're not the most effective skills required to be a good leader. Research shows that it's the soft skills that matter most. The most important soft skills are attitude, teamwork, adaptability, emotional intelligence, and without a doubt, the number one soft skill and number one overall skill that will determine your level of leadership is your ability to communicate. I tell you this because I want to get you excited about becoming a better leader. It's closer than you think. If you can communicate, you can lead people and do it effectively. But even communication skills and training fall short because they don't teach the single greatest communication weapon and method known to man, and that is the ability to tell a story. Now, you may think I'm crazy, but I'll prove it to you any which way you want it proven. The greatest influencers of all time tell stories. The greatest leaders of all time tell stories. The greatest communicators in the history of mankind told stories.
Story time.
So what would make you any different? Why would you not do this? Because you maybe have been led to believe that if you can just kill people with data, facts, logic, research, science, they're gonna believe you. You're gonna persuade them. You can prove to them why they should be making this or that decision. That is a lie from the devil. Now, the question I always ask is, why is storytelling such an important aspect of communication? It is not a way to communicate, it is the way to communicate. And it goes back to first principles. So if you studied Elon Musk, you would understand that he lives his life and creates businesses out of this first principles mentality. Check out this clip, you'll see what I mean.
You kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true or as sure as possible is true? And then reason up from there.
So you may be asking, like my wife did the other day, what is this first principles thing? So we were on a walk with the dog and she asked me, you've been talking about first principles, what does that even mean? And so I gave her an example. I said, well, okay, give me a topic and I'll tell you what that means using this topic. And so she was looking around and she saw somebody's yard. She goes, okay.
Landscaping.
I'm like,
All right, that's a good one.
if I'm going to discuss first principles in landscaping, then I got to first establish what is my objective. In this case, it would be to have a lawn that looks good. So in order to get there, you have to realize what would make that lawn look that way. And eventually you'd get to the place, well, it was first principles. You need good soil, you need good nutrients, and you need water and sunlight. So then I would get down to say, these are the requirements in order to achieve this outcome. You break something down to its lowest common denominator. Elon does this in creating rocket ships. What I do this for is in communication. Why storytelling is so effective is because when you break the brain down to its lowest common denominator, you realize it thinks in pictures and in stories. Every piece of information that it brings in, it turns into a story. So why don't we just create the story so it doesn't have to do so much work? This is why I coach my clients. Exactly how to communicate effectively requires storytelling. This book that I've referenced over and over again by a guy named Daniel Kahneman, this is like the Bible of communication, Thinking Fast and Slow. He breaks down how the brain actually thinks. And a large portion of this book is that you must use metaphors and stories in order to simplify your message. Now, the reason why you want to be a more effective leader is because you want to change someone's belief and behavior. That's what communication does. Effective communication gets somebody to do something different by believing something different. You need to understand that every decision is made through emotion. Antonio Damasio, a neuropsychologist, said that we are not thinking machines that feel, we're feeling machines that think. We feel first and then we think. So if you're going to influence the way somebody thinks, you got to influence the way they feel. Nothing does that better than a story. I can remember a couple years back when I was invited to a fundraiser for a fantastic ministry in downtown Nashville. It was right around the Christmas season and it was a huge dinner. There was worship experiences, there was music, there was all kinds of cool things going on. But then they got to the point where they needed to talk about the ministry, what they do for single women and how they provide a specific service for these women in such a trying time of their life. They went through the facts, they went through statistics, they went through stories and testimony. They even showed videos of specific women who'd experienced this ministry and what their lives have now become. And then something happened that nobody was expecting. The event coordinator, who everybody knew because she was very professional, she did her job amazing, you could tell like she had a unique passion for what she was doing, she starts to make her way up to the stage. And not only does she talk about how amazing this ministry is, she goes on to tell a story about the reason why she's so passionate about what she does is because she was one of those women who was saved by this ministry. She shows a picture of where she once was, who brought her out of that, and the value that this ministry was able to do in such a trying time in her life. I came to that event with an amount of money in my mind that I was going to give to this ministry, and after watching this story, that number increased by 10x. I was willing to give this ministry because it hit me in the emotional centers of not only my brain, but my heart. And that message that hit my heart was able to come out in my pocketbook in what I was willing to give. Because I knew that what I was giving to is something that I was so proud to give to because of what I saw with this woman and her own life. So that's why you have to remember, facts tell and stories sell. In order to be a more effective communicator, you have to be good at the soft skills, and they can be learned. They are skills. The number one soft skill is the ability to communicate.
Last I checked, communication is key to understanding.
And I'll tell you this, I am not a natural born storyteller. It may be the reason why I'm so passionate about helping my clients become better communicators and gaining the soft skills necessary to take their next leap in business, is because it's forced me to understand how does the brain actually receive, interpret specific messages. I watched many mentors and coaches over the years, and I tried to emulate them. I did what they told, but I also just modeled them until one day where I realized I have my own stories. I have my own powerful way of doing things. And when I was comfortable enough to do it my way, things took off for me. I've built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses based on one thing, my ability to communicate. But not because I was a natural born. But this lack of natural talent I have made up for in work ethic and in research. So when I study it, I want to know what is the best approach so that I can help anybody just like me who may be an introvert, somebody who would label themselves as not a great communicator, somebody who is maybe fearful or not naturally gifted to have charisma or stage speaking skills. I'm telling you, if that's you, you're exactly who I'm speaking to. Because when you understand a little bit about effective communication, you realize that the most effective communicators are the ones that are raw, that are real, and that are willing to gain the skills required to lead people. So if I'm speaking to you, hey, I would just say subscribe to our channel. I talk about this all day, every day, because this is a passion of mine. If you've got a mission, if you've got something inside you know you are made for more, you know you have a message, but you just haven't perfected it yet. If you look below, there's events that I run every single month that would allow you to come and experience what we experience, or this book that I wrote called The Trust Formula. These are ways that I help my clients actually gain the skills to become better leaders that make them more effective in the marketplace. So there you have it. If you have a question, if you have a comment, leave it below. If you have something to debate me about, also leave it below. Just spell my name right. Dr. Dan, I'm out.